Hello and welcome to Sport This Morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Coming up on the program, Delta Queens stay hot when it comes to the Super Six tournament. It happens to be the only team that started on a winning note at the Super Six in Ijebu-Ode, beating Edo Queens by 2-1. While the other teams, talking about Rivers Angels, Bayelsa, FC Robo, they all had a draw in the opening games. Also in the program, where controversy continued concerning the European Super League, UEFA wants to sue, and of course, there's so many things surrounding it. Well, it still gets our attention this morning because there's so much coming out from the European Super League, where even the FAs, the MAs, and of course, countries across Europe are not happy with the decision of the biggest leagues in Europe, the fact that they want to break away and form another league. And the NBA, Steph Curry staying hot because he had to light up the 76ers on the night, dropping 47 points. 49 points. He dropped 47 the other time, and this time around he's dropping 49 points as the Golden State Warriors upstage the Eastern Conference leaders 76ers in that spectacular victory. But this morning, I'm not starting with the NBA. I'm starting with the Super Six that's taking place at Ijebu-Ode, where you have Delta Queens. Happens to be the only team that won their opening game, and it was against Edo Queens. 2-1 it was at the Dikbo Dina International Stadium, Ijebu-Ode in Ogun State. And Edo Queens started the game dominating possession. Of course, they wanted to get the opening goal, but then it wasn't to be because Elizabeth Zereka's free kick in the 6th minute went wide. And of course, Delta Queens got into the rhythm, and Falonsha's free kick in the 11th minute did not even pose a threat at all to Christy Herako and the Edo Queens post. But then just 9 minutes later, across the right wing, and of course you have a Tejiro, Edward and Bright Naji, capitalizing on something in the 27th minute. That volley paid off by Jumoke Alani. And Delta Queens are new recruit, a player they just got, Chiamaka, got the pass, got a well-connected pass from Chioma, and before she was able to dribble and scored the first goal in the 41st minute. And after that, well, Nick Julius' free kick, of course, leveled the score line in 53rd minute, and Delta Queens had the final one in 71st minute. They got a winning goal from Comfort Folorunshaw. She was the one who got the winning goals. The game between Bayelsa Queens and Sunshine Queens was another tough one, but that game ended 1-1 because Bayelsa Queens scored first, but Sunshine somehow just were able to get into the picture. And the other game between FC Robo and Rivers Angels ended in a draw. It was Vivian Ikechukwu who got Rivers Angels on the winning note just few seconds into the second half. But then 87th minute later, and trust the girl who could do that, Monday Gates had to equalize for FC Robo, and that's a draw. So if you're looking at the table of the Super Six right now, it's Delta Queens that are leading the pack by the virtue of the fact that they got that 2-1 win over Edo Queens. And the beauty of the day was the fact they had so many dignitaries in attendance now witnessing the opening ceremony. Aisha Falade, of course, she was there. But then you have NFF President Amaji Pinnick, you have the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Felicia Ibe, was also there. The Delta State Sports Commission chairperson was also there. They have the Nigerian Referee Association President Tade Aziz. He was also part of it, and of course, expectedly, all right, rather surprisingly, some people expected him to come, while some were surprised that he was present at the venue. The coach of the Super Falcons, he was also there. Wadron, I mean, everyone was shocked that he came, but he was there. Chief Solomon Ogba was also part of those who were there to actually support the girls playing good football. And when Aisha Falade talked about the fact that they expected a tournament that everyone will enjoy, we're actually seeing the kind of people that had to turn up to watch the games. And I hope that as they're turning up to watch the games, they can also be contributing to the development of the women's game by way of supporting the girls, especially when it comes to welfare, which is really key and important. Of course, games will continue today. All of the teams who did not get a victory will definitely hope to get something out of it. Okay. All right, we'll leave that. Okay, these are fixtures for today. The Sunshine Queens and the Edo Queens are playing this morning. That's at 10 a.m. Just some few minutes, about 55 minutes from now, that game will start. And the game between Robo and Bayeso Queens, that's at 12. And the final game of the day will be Rivers Angels and Delta Queens. Delta Queens is not having it easy. They had a tough one against Edo Queens yesterday. And today they will be having another tough one against Rivers Angels, who, of course, will be trying to get a win, haven't dropped a point in their opening game. Okay, I'll leave that and quickly go to tennis, where Kenny Shikori, it was like a slim one. He almost lost, but somehow he had a comeback and he was able to survive that major scare and advance at the Barcelona Open. Yes, it was a surprise one, former world number 4, because a guy he was playing against, Guido Pella, wasn't a guy you expect to actually give him a tough time. But Nishikori was trailing 6-4, 4-2, and he was forced to break the serve. And Guido Pella attempted to close out the match in the second set, but then sensationally, Nishikori had a very spectacular rally. And that rally ended 7-6-2, 7-6 in the second set. And the final set, he won 6-2. He has won this ATP 500 tournament twice before now, but then he broke serve on 3 occasions in the final set before he was able to get into the second run. He could have lost, but the guy will be waiting for him will be 2014 US Open finalist. I'm talking about, no, the guy that he will be playing is 13th seed Christian Garin. That will be his next opponent, and this might just be another difficult one for him, knowing that against Guido Pella, he had a very, very tough game, had to go through three sets before he was able to get the victory he so much needed. He's through to the second run at Barcelona Open, another clay tournament. Right, from tennis now, let's quickly go to the basketball court, the NBA, and Steph Curry is the man of the moment right now. That guy just can't stop scoring, especially when it comes to the 40s, talking about 40 points. Who does that? Now, from the beginning of the start of the game, yes, the hug will happen. That's Seth Curry, the brother of Stephen Curry. He didn't know that the brother was going to drop 40 points on his team, the 76ers, and he had to light up that game with that point. And remember, our 76ers actually leading the Eastern Conference right now. But Curry maintained his red-hot form in that red-breaking display in Philadelphia, and he nailed 10 three-pointers. 10 three-pointers, that's what he did. And he became the first player to make 70-plus threes in a 10-game span. And that was a memorable one for him. Who has done that? No one. So Curry has more games with 40-plus points and 40-plus threes over the last 8 days than any other player has ever had in their entire career. That's according to stats. And Curry also became the first player in NBA history at the age of 33 or older with 11 consecutive 30-plus point games, surpassing Kobe Bryant, who did 10 straight. That was in 2012. Now, this guy, there's so much. So after scoring 47 and 49, Curry is also the first player aged 33 or older with back-to-back 45-plus points since Michael Jordan did that in 2001. And that was, he had 51 and 45. So this guy somehow just know how to do the right thing. And Joel Embiid, he was up in the game. Because you're asking, he played that game, but he put up 28 points and 30 rebounds in the absence. Of course, Ben Simmons is still not there because he is injured, and their 4-game winning streak was snapped by no other than Steph Curry. Let's get the reaction from Steph Curry himself, talking about how he was able to do that and the fact that whenever, he's teamed up and all that, make mistakes, he doesn't really think about that. What is important is the fact that he wants to go all out, and he did last night. All right, I'm just taking a look at other results. Yes, I've talked about Steph Curry because I was eager to actually talk about him because of what he put up on the night. And of course, Shemi will be joining me to talk more about this one. Other results on the night, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons. It was 105 and 109. And the game between the Bulls and the Celtics was 102 and 96 in that one. Other games, of course, you have the Golden State Warriors and 76ers, just talk about that already. It's the Spurs and the Pacers, 109-94. Spurs trying to find their feet. And the Rockets and the Heat beat the Rockets. Despite the fact that they didn't have Jimmy Butler, they didn't have Bam Adebayo, who got that buzzer winning victory for them. But there are other players that were on ground they were able to get the victory. And the Wizards and the Thunder, well, somehow the Thunder, their silence just continued. It is 107 and 119. Yes, when you're talking about the Wizards, you know the guys you're talking about, because where you have Russell Westbrook had his 26th triple-double of the season, 13 points, 17 assists, and 11 rebounds. And of course, they've celebrated their 5th consecutive victory. I can't remember the last time they did that. And of course, 40 hits, I talked about how they were able to do it. It was Kendrick Nunn who got 30 points for them. And the Suns and the Bucks, yes, Giannis putting up 33 points. They got that's lost 1 point. Hard. Yeah.
So yeah, the Suns in fantastic form. I think they should be 3rd or so, or 4th in the East. But yeah, if the Suns make the playoffs, which it looks like they will, it's very good for them, because a couple seasons ago they're one of the teams that was used as an example as one of the worst teams in the league. So now with Chris Paul, with Devin Booker, sorry, looking like a very, very prolific team, a very scary team in and outside the paint. So yeah, happy for the Suns actually.
Yeah, happy for them, but I'm heartbroken for Giannis because of numbers he put up on the night at 3, but it just wasn't enough, as you mentioned. Okay, let's take a look at the top performers on the night before we look at other reactions from other parts. Giannis, of course, 33, 8, and 2. That was the numbers he got, but just wasn't enough because, as you mentioned, when you hot Suns right now, they're very hot.
Yes.
Ja Morant had 36, 8, and 12 for his efforts for the Memphis Grizzlies against the Denver Nuggets. Of course, the Denver Nuggets, they prevailed. I mean, Jokic, the next guy, he had 47 on the night. 15 and 8 now, MVP candidates. Yes, we know his favorites for that. This guy is something else.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, Steph Curry, 49, 3, and 5. Yeah, it just stays hot.
Stays hot.
All right, let's get reaction from, I mentioned Doc Rivers, yes, 76ers. He just didn't understand what happened. They had to put Judge Hill on Steph Curry, but he couldn't defend so much because Steph Curry on the night, no one could actually hold on to him. He didn't play so well. Well, not having their top stars, and that's one, the fact that they got one over the Jazz over 2 games. You say it's a good one, but the good news is, well, you might just have Anthony Davis coming back this week.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is on his way back. Should be back this week, with LeBron coming back in 2 weeks or so. Just enough time for them to play enough games for the playoffs around the end of May. So, yeah, and I have to give a special shout-out to Utah Jazz because losing their star man, Donovan Mitchell, and still being able to beat the Lakers, who I know depleted without their stars.
Yeah, also on the mind, yeah.
So, yeah, we have to give him credit. And like you said, Rudy Gobert defending the rim, what he does best, former defensive player of the year.
Yeah, expectedly had 14 points and 10 rebounds. Contributed another double-doubles for the team. We'll leave the NBA now and quickly go to football. Yes, I mean, yesterday was all about, it started on Sunday night, yesterday, the Super League. Who could have thought about that? Yet it's been in the works for a while, but even UEFA surprised, FIFA surprised, the FAs and every leagues across the globe, they're surprised. The good thing is Germany and, of course, in Germany and France, that's the only, of all the top 5 leagues you have across Europe, happens to be the only one that are not interested in it. They were contacted, they didn't want to join. And even we go to FC Porto also, they said they also had a contact, but they didn't want to join now. Now you have England, you have Spain, and of course you have Italy. The top clubs across these 3 leagues are the ones that have started it, the founding fathers, so to speak. Now the European Super League, the story continues. I mean, Monday was more like breaking. Yes, that happened. And while we're dealing with that, Jose Mourinho's happened. But let's start with the Super League.
There's so much going on. So much. Breakdown. I know everyone knows the breakdown now. 20 teams, 15 founding members. So far, there's 12, like you said. The 6 in England, which the Tottenham, Man City, Man United, Arsenal, just these teams. Some of them have not even won the Champions League before, but historically, they're big enough and they generate enough revenue to be in there. But there's so much controversy with this team and so many issues with this Super League that we could talk about this for hours and hours. Mike, you want me to talk about the issues?
I mean, there's so much to talk about it. We're going to go on a break to really talk more about this. But before that, if we have time, we need to listen to UEFA President Safarin. I mean, he was really upset because he feels a form of betrayal from the clubs because they have an understanding and they were still in discussion before the decision was reached. So he was surprised when he heard that. You understand how he felt when he heard that news, man. He was shocked. Talking about UFO, our President Alessandra suffering about how the break will happen. My discussion will not just be with Shemilore alone. Omar Katiba will be joining me this morning, knowing that Germany happens to be, Germany did not join. I mean, he needs to tell us the reason why the German teams are not interested in having the Super League. Omar, good morning. It's good to have you join me.
Yes, good morning, Cecilia. Great to be on your show. I like your starting point, starting with Germany, where I live, and the Bundesliga. I don't know if I should just dive straight into that one, or I should allow you take charge.
No, let's start with that. Let's start off with that because I mean, we said the big when you're talking about the top clubs in Europe. Of course, you know the top leagues in Europe: Germany, France, and Spain, Italy, and England are the top ones, right? So if you're having the three, Germany, Italy, and Spain, decided that we're going to go and thinking maybe the giant Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, maybe RB Leipzig will be one of those teams that will join. And then you go to France, you're expecting PSG, maybe Olympique Marseille, Lyon, and Lille at some of the clubs that could join. But we are not seeing that. We're just seeing the Juves of this world, the Milans of this world, the Madrids of this world, Barcelona, and of course the top six in England, all are the ones that happen to be the founding fathers.
Yes. Okay, when I saw the list of the founding members, I was searching for a German team, of course, Bayern or Borussia Dortmund, and I didn't see them. But I wasn't surprised because the value and the belief of football clubs and football structure in Germany is that football belongs to the fans. The slogan of the Bundesliga is football the way it should be. And football the way it should be for German teams is that football belongs to the fans. Football belongs to the people. And if they joined the European Super League, they will be going against their ethos and values. And the German football system is purely against that. That is why you see that even in Germany, teams like RB Leipzig and VfL Wolfsburg, because of their structure of corporate sponsorship, they are not regarded as traditional German teams. So that explains why the Bundesliga teams haven't joined. They believe that football belongs to the fans. And that is also why you see that in the Bundesliga, ticket prices are so cheap. They say that the amount of a burger in England is what gets you into a stadium in Germany to watch a premium Bundesliga game. And that tells you how important the fans and the people are to German football clubs. That is the reason why they have not joined this elitist idea called the European Super League.
I love the way you landed that. Now, Shimla, let me come to you. There have been talks about the fact that the formation of the Super League is definitely going to affect all the clubs, right? But before you respond to that, we need to take a listen to, a financial expert who understands what it means for some of these lower clubs, how they will suffer, and the fact that maybe broadcast right might even suffer, knowing that if all the efforts of the Super League, these clubs playing in Super League are based on the Super League, they will have maybe lesser time or maybe lesser results from the leagues, the national leagues they're playing. And that's if that happened, because from FIFA and UEFA, the fact is, if they continue, if they go ahead, they might just be banned from major competitions.
Super League model that's being proposed is actually promoting more disparity amongst the top clubs and the mid-tier and bottom clubs. So you have these top clubs who are now going to be much more financially well off than the mid-tier clubs, and they can use that to their advantage of buying better players and, easily winning matches in their domestic competitions, relative to how they were doing so far. So I think from a financial standpoint, that the clubs that are in this Super League will probably be better off, but I think it will maybe diminish the product that they're putting on in their domestic leagues. And then the clubs that aren't participating in the Super League might be at even more of a disadvantage than they were before. The broadcasting and sponsorship revenues generated at the domestic levels will still be fairly significant, and a lot of those revenues are divided by the leagues amongst the clubs there. So I think there will still be some support for the clubs not participating in the Super League, but really because the disparity is going to grow wider, maybe you'll have, fans don't want to watch, 5-0 results every single week.
I don't want to watch that too, because when they have money to buy all the top players and all that. So when you're having a Manchester United, for instance, playing against Sheffield, it could just be that 8-0 would just be like a...
The Super League, the aim of the Super League is to increase the gap between the big teams and the smaller teams. Now, the Premier League and other domestic leagues, La Liga, Serie A, and threaten that if you're going to compete in the Super League, you can't compete domestically anymore. Now, if that's the case and they go through it, that will be catastrophic to all the domestic leagues, because, let's call it as it is, those leagues gain the revenue they have because the big teams are in there as well. Now, the big teams want more of the slice of their pie, because right now it's split evenly between everybody, but in their heads they're thinking, if we're generating the revenue for these leagues, why are we not getting more money? But that's not how it works. And for me, personally, the Super European League, or whatever we want to call it, because they're going to change the name soon, I think it just ruins the pyramid of football across across England, across Italy, across Spain. It ruins the pyramid of football. Because when a big team, let's say for the FA Cup, if a big team goes to a little team, it generates revenue for that town. It's small town. If Manchester United is coming to town, the gate tickets, the lady who's selling pie and chips across the, it generates revenue for everybody. But when you lose that, what the essence of like the FA Cup is and things like that, then we lose what football is, what we love.
Yeah, that's where the loss of revenue is coming from. Okay, Omar, I mean, you mentioned that what's obtainable in Germany is the fact that football belongs to the fans, and so the fans have a say in whatever decision that they are making out. Talking about revenue now, of how it's going to affect smaller clubs across Europe, it simply means that if FIFA and UEFA, of course, the FAs go ahead with their threats that if they have to form the Super Six, then they will not play in the national leagues across the various leagues they are playing at. So what then happened to smaller clubs? How can they generate revenue? Just heard from an expert who is saying that, look, the broadcast rights and everything would definitely drop, and the smaller clubs wouldn't have much when it comes to getting money, and coaches, grassroots, everything is going to crumble.
Yes, I mean, everything will not crumble, but it will put a lot of the leagues in jeopardy. It will put the clubs in a difficult situation because obviously the broadcast rights of football leagues are built around the big teams. That is why you see that in Spain, clubs like Barcelona and Real Madrid sell broadcast rights individually or independently, and that's why you see that they earn a lot of money and they are richer than the other clubs, like the rest. Same does not apply to England, where there is an equal share of broadcast right revenue, according to the system of football in England. So this will put the leagues in serious jeopardy, because if the top teams are out, it takes the glamour, it takes the color, it takes the attraction away from those leagues. And in turn, it reduces the amount of money they can earn from TV revenues, because the focus will now be on the European Super League, which is actually one of the motivation behind this whole idea. They know now that they can earn more money by selling broadcast rights, by themselves, instead of UEFA or FIFA or UEFA in this case now, selling the broadcast right and sharing the money amongst the clubs in Europe. In this case, these guys are saying we don't want to share in the pie. We want to own it ourselves and then share it around us. So it's going to definitely affect the leagues and the smaller clubs, because these clubs have been feeding off the popularity, the commercial value of these big clubs, which is why we say that this European Super League goes against the ethos and values of football, which is fair play and open competition.
That fact, but UEFA is actually consulting legal teams and all that today. They want to battle it. They want to see how they can actually get into it. But a Munich-based competition lawyer, Mark Oath, has been saying that UEFA don't really have a legal case. Before we react to this, just listen to him.
It'd be much easier to give legal advice to the other side, and for UEFA, it's very difficult, and I do not see that they have any competition law measures, especially on the point they argue it's a closed league. From my point, when you start a new venture, a new entrant in the market, that new entrant is often allowed to have some exclusivity to protect its business. I think there are clear legal precedents that what the UEFA is threatening, is a clear abuse of a market dominant position, as well as a cartel, because UEFA has some members and all the members work as a cartel. And you have clear precedents, as I said, in the ISU judgment of the European Court of Justice first instance, which is now challenged. But we have also a very interesting case in Germany, which is called the wrestling case, where the federation tried to do the same thing to sanction players participating in that unauthorized event. We have the commission, not decision, but statements given in the Formula One case, which are quite clearly on that prohibition of competing events.
So the legal case, according to him, is very weak because of the competition law. What do you make of this?
I think I agree with him. Again, I think that this breakaway group will be lawyered up to the teeth. They've got a lot of money, and they will have all of the legal counsels behind them to fight this battle till the end. It's a difficult time for UEFA, because the coronavirus pandemic has put them in a very difficult situation. And this has been made worse by the decision of these, 15 big clubs to break away from the stronghold of UEFA. UEFA has basically been surviving off these clubs, and now they want to leave UEFA. It will put UEFA in a very difficult situation, and they've got to fight for their lives. It's going to be a long, drawn legal battle. We'll just wait and see how that pans out.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. Not for you. I mean, he cited some cases whereby you have the skating competitions in the US, where the US actually threatened, the ICU threatened to ban them from competitions because they were going to, compete in an unapproved competitions because of how lucrative it can be. Then he also mentioned the wrestlers in Germany and all that. They couldn't do that. Now, UEFA is threatening. They will ban them from European Championships and, of course, from the World Cup. And from what Mark Oath has listed, that this may not succeed because of the precedent concerning the new, precedents of competitions in Europe.
I believe the threats are going to be very hard for them to carry out in terms of UEFA, well, in terms of FIFA, in terms of the World Cup. Because without the biggest players in the World Cup, you start to lose revenue. It's kind of a chess game between these big clubs, these founding clubs, and these strongholds, FIFA and UEFA. You have to kind of pick a side now. So the domestic leagues and FIFA are siding with the traditional UEFA model, and the big teams that have made this decision are siding with the European Super League. And for me, I don't believe these threats will stand. And what's going to happen is UEFA might be left alone in the lurch, because it's only this tournament is only to replace Champions League. That's what everybody keeps forgetting. It's just to replace the Champions League.
That's what you think, or that's what
I believe. I don't want it to happen, but that's what I believe would happen. And the analyst on there, the analyst on there used a fantastic word in saying it's a cartel. And I believe he says that because the lack of competition in the European Super League, and that 15 teams will not be able to be relegated. So, for instance, if Juventus becomes last for 20 years, Juventus will still remain in that league. Yeah. Now, the conflict of interest is Juventus is Agnelli, the chairman at Juventus, is the chairman of the European Super League.
He has left already. I mean, he has left.
Yeah, but he has left the AEG.
Yeah,
he's left the European Commission. But he's now the vice chairman on this new Super League. Same with Florentino Perez, same with Joe Glazer. Who's the chairman, Joe Glazer. So if Man United and Real Madrid, respectively, come last in this competition for the next 20 years, they're still going to be there, which means a lack of competition.
They just keep getting money.
And they just keep going back and going back.
I think how good you were of Jürgen Klopp, who said, 2019, when this idea was actually, when it first came up, he says, who wants to play Real Madrid for the next 10 or 20 years? It will be boring. But then, we'll not just be doing all this talking alone. Manchester United fans also are really not happy about what is happening, because they feel that the fans created football, and now the rich people, according to them, came, and they're taking away what they created. Yeah, created by the poor, stolen by the rich. Omar, I haven't asked you this question. Are you in support of this Super League at all?
That's a very tough question. There are always two sides to everything. The human in me is not in support of it, because football, as we know it, is in competition. Football, as we knew it, was only a recreation. It wasn't a business. But the moment it became commercialized, all of those natural tendencies, all those things that made it very enjoyable, were taken away from it. And now we're seeing it go to another level where it's going to be completely commercialized, where it's going to be about the entertainment, it's about the money, it's about the commercials. That doesn't really go well with me. It's not in tandem with my values. But as a person who also thinks sometimes like a business person, I agree with the idea, because it makes a lot of business sense, unfortunately, for only 15 clubs and by extension 20 clubs. And we say that football is a beautiful game. If it's truly a beautiful game, it should be about inclusivity, not this elitism that we're about to experience. So it's difficult to say whether I'm in support of the idea or not. But as a journalist, I am a bit heartbroken, because I have covered the Champions League for many years. I have seen how UEFA has allowed, the media to play a huge part in broadcasting and exposing the UEFA Champions League to the world. What I see is about to happen will also be some level of exclusivity, whereby a lot of people will be locked out, because it's not going to be absolutely commercialized, which means that, for example, people like us who fall in the category of no right holders might not be given priority. So as a person, as a journalist, I am completely against it. But as somebody who is trying to become a business person, I cannot support it because it makes business sense. Because when you imagine the amount of money that will be thrown around, 250 million pounds check will be given to all participants from the off. That is actually much more than you get when you win the Champions League.
Yes.
And this can go, it can be more.
Yeah. So
for these clubs, it's a good idea because most of these clubs are in financial stress.
All right.
Barcelona is in debt worth over $1 billion. Okay. Real Madrid are building a new stadium. There are problems. Inter Milan, their Chinese owners, the club they run in China has been shut down. All these clubs are looking for much more money to gain some level of financial stability.
Okay, it's all about the money, right? All right, we'll leave it at that. And when we come back, we'll be talking about Jose Mourinho. He's after he left Tottenham, we don't know where he's going to next. Yeah, it's no longer news that Jose Mourinho has been fired. But the thing is, where will he go up next? Because if you check the top leagues, the top clubs in England, I mean, he's coached Manchester, Chelsea twice, and Tottenham. But Liverpool, that's not where he want to go. And Man City, we know, yes, Pep is still the man. But the question is, where would Jose go next? I'll start with you, Shimlori.
He said he's not taking any time off. But I don't know where he can go except from the national team. The Portugal national team have a fantastic crop of players now that he can maybe get them a Euros, not this coming Euros, but maybe in the future they can take them to World Cup in Qatar next winter. But Mourinho is a funny character because out of all the things you could be seen carrying, he was carrying a picture of him like holding a trophy.
Yeah, all the trophies is won. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah, so like he said, same coach, different players, no matter where he goes. So I don't know where he'll be next. I think maybe a national team. Maybe a national, or he could go to Germany, maybe. He hasn't been to Germany yet. So.
Yeah, because we know that Hansi Flick is leaving at the end of the season.
Yes.
And Nagelsmann, we don't know if he's going to want to go to Bayern and all.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to ask Omar this question because, Omar, we know Jose Mourinho is out of job right now. We know there are clubs that will be, there is a club that would not have a manager at the end of the season. That's Bayern. Do you see Jose actually going to Bayern Munich to want to coach there?
Well, first and foremost, Jose wasn't wearing a mask. Maybe he will incur another fine. I think Jose Mourinho's character and personality is not the kind that they like in Germany. Germans are very modest. Germans are very serious. Germans are they're not larger than life like Mourinho. This is not the first time that Bayern's job will be available in the same period where Mourinho is available. Before Bayern signed I think the last coach, or Hansi Flick, Mourinho was available. And they went for Hansi Flick. So I don't think that Bayern would take Mourinho. I see him going in the direction of Italy more because Juventus would likely sack Andrea Pirlo because he's done a terrible job. Juventus are languishing in the fourth position, if I'm not mistaken, and that is not a good one. So perhaps Mourinho might be going in that direction if that job becomes available.
Do you think he should take a break? Because he said he's not taking a break. He's just want to continue. I know that he doesn't need it. Yeah.
Mourinho is a very ebullient guy. He's a guy that loves football. I don't think he's that type of guy who will tell you he wants to go on a vacation, he wants to go on a break. He's a guy that loves the game. He wants to be involved from this point on. As soon as another opportunity comes, he wants to take it. And that's why he went to coach Spurs, because a lot of persons are of the opinion that the Spurs job was too small for Mourinho. And I agree with it, because I felt that job would put him in trouble, and that is what has happened. I said in December in 2019, when Jose Mourinho was appointed, that the special one tag of Mourinho will be put to a special test at Tottenham Hotspur, because Tottenham Hotspur is not a club that is synonymous to victory. Yeah. And on the other hand, Mourinho is a serial winner. And the big challenge will be turning a club like Spurs to a winning team, because that will be the expectation. That didn't happen. And when you look at the results, they didn't really go well. It started on a good note, beat Arsenal 2-0, beat Manchester United 6-1, was top of the table for just 1 week or 2 weeks, and things came crashing. Yeah. And they couldn't take it. But of course,
take it. Thank you so
much. Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry to cut you short there. Apologies for that. Thank you so much for taking our time to join us on Channel Sports this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, we've still got Liverpool, of course, the game, Monday Night Football, that was played last night and ended 1-1. Well, remember what happened in the opening game of the season, Leeds and Liverpool, first of goals, we all enjoyed that. But just got to last night, ended 1-0. And, of course, for Jurgen Klopp, he's been talking about his future after that game. Yeah, Klopp right there. He wants to try as much as possible to see what he can do to Liverpool. Liverpool can afford not to play in the Champions League next season. Right now, they're 6th on the log.
Every chance they have to get inside the top 5, top 4 at least, or to get closer to top 4, they just can't keep leads. They're just not consistent enough to even take the lead. And when they do it, they concede too many draws. I think they've got 8 draws, 9 losses. And some of the teams they've lost to, Leicester, Brighton, Everton, Fulham,
Aston Villa
7-2. Yeah. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. But Liverpool, I need a reform, and there's no better man than Klopp because he's the greatest manager they've had in modern times.
So he should just stay. You think can actually turn things around?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. That's it for tonight. Of course, Brighton and Chelsea will be in action. Chelsea, yes, we know after that FA Cup victory over Manchester City, it should be champion in the beat right now.
Chelsea, high spirits right now.
Okay.
High spirits right now.
Okay,
Chelsea.
so no need for discussion on this game, right? Whatever happened, if anything happened and maybe Brighton win, it's going to be like a big upset.
Yeah.
That's what it's looking like.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, before we look at the papers, just have like 3 minutes or 2 minutes to leave the studio, but quickly I'll just take a look at some tweets. Yes, so man, it's all about the Super League that is coming up. And Nedu Samuel says, I'm not happy you did not talk about Barcelona's Spanish Cup victory. That happened on Saturday. I mean, did you watch Sunday Sports? I mean, Sunday Sports dwells and then Channel Sports on Sunday. When they talk more about that. And Mourinho is certainly going to Juventus. Reports are beginning to emerge already. Okay, that's what he's thinking. And also, it's not why I don't like Barcelona. It was talked about on Sunday, okay? Noble Flyerman says, the level of frustration and depression here in Europe at the moment is unprecedented. And football is the only glimpse of smiles on people's faces. If taken away by a group of cabals, then I see devastating consequences and even possible attacks on these guys. Hope they realize this. This is a Manchester United fan. He's quite not happy. And Boston says the sacking of Mourinho was no heroism from the get-go. As good as he is, his management abilities will always be clogged in the process of his career. And Professor Enahena says UEFA can't legally upstage the European Super League. There is freedom of association. The clubs are free to create their league. FIFA and UEFA hold on club has been demystified. What is UEFA afraid of? Okay. And Educators says this European Super League is about everything versus the big, is about everyone versus the big clubs. The winner will shape how we view football in future. If big clubs will win, I may begin to look for alternatives to sports entertainment. It is greed in its purest form. And Golahan says, I feel it will just be for a while because some of the small teams will emerge to replace the big teams, and then things will balance up. Even though this Super League deal is selfish and cutthroat, the leagues affected will just have to find a way to be better. And Sean Paul, Sean Paul says, on a lighter note, I will go back to watching CAF Champions League. If the Super League is pushed through, let's support the African League. Remember when Gianni Infantino says that, look, we're going to be having a Super League in Africa. That discussion will be for another day. We don't have time to take a look at it. But if I have to just take a complete sport where Emery says Chukwueze needs to find consistency. Yeah, that's the only one I'm taking from the sport. Well, Shimlere, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope to be here again. Thank you very much.
Okay, hope to have you again too. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a great day.